Hello everyone, and welcome to my second Blender tutorial. I saw that my first tutorial went pretty well, so I thought I'd do another one. Today we're going to be using depth of field in Blender. I just made a quick preview render to show you what sort of effect we'll be creating. So, basically what depth of field is it's one object being clear while everything around it is blurred. So as you can see here, we've got this monkey, and behind it, you can see the window frame is a bit blurred. So that's basically what we'll be working with. So now that we've got that done, we'll begin by going into Blender. So open up whatever scene you like. I won't be going through the process of setting up the scene because that'll take up a good part of the tutorial. Basically all I've got here is just a couple of spheres, a monkey, a light source, and a camera. So, and there's nothing special going on except for all these, so yeah, it's pretty easy to follow. Okay, so I'll be showing you 3 different methods to create a depth of field effect in Blender. One of them is only possible in cycles render. So if you're using cycles and you don't feel like using compositing nodes, this would probably be a good way to go. If you ever do use the compositing nodes, but one of them is a really simple method and only uses one node, while the other one uses several and is a bit complicated to set up. Each one has its own advantages and disadvantages, so that's why I'm showing you just a couple methods, just so you can decide for yourself which one you'll use. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's begin by rendering our image and going to the compositing nodes. So the first method I'll show you is the cycles, as a cycles method, which is what I've got here. I'm using cycles render. So yeah. So to begin, select your camera. I've already got mine selected. Go to the camera object data, and on the depth of field, select whichever image you want to use as the focus. So basically, what this means is we're telling the camera which object to focus on, and everything around it will appear blurred. So we're going to be focusing on this cube. Okay, so it's called cube, and select your camera and go cube. Now, if you render it, yeah, we'll render this. You can see absolutely there's no change at all. The reason for this is we need to change our aperture settings. So go here, and under aperture, we'll try 0.1 just so you can see. We'll actually do something exaggerated just so you can see what sort of effects you'll be getting. So yeah, immediately when you render it, you can see the change. Now this isn't like the compositing nodes where the image renders out and then you have to wait for the entire image to render before you can see what sort of effects you'll be getting, and that's quite handy. So you can see here the cube is in focus, sort of, but a bit of it's blurred because we're using really high values, but everything behind it, as you can see, is really blurred. So we'll use something like let's try 0.05. So yeah, that's looking a bit more realistic, I suppose, less exaggerated. It's looking pretty subtle. So basically, depth of field is a nice way of just putting other objects into focus if you want the viewer to focus their attention, and plus it looks really nice as well. It's a really subtle thing. It just, I think, enhances your render a lot. Also, a neat thing is with this method, you could keyframe your values. So say you could start off at 0, like this, and you'll have say you're animating it. This is an animation. Say for a couple of seconds, you want everything to be in focus, and then you can just keyframe your aperture settings to like say like this, and we've got 0.05. It's a keyframe. So yeah, it's a nice thing to just have everything around here become blurred while this becomes in focus, which is a nice way of grabbing the viewer's attention, I find. So yeah, it's a handy thing you could do with the cycles. Oops, with the cycles method. Now, the other method I'll be showing you is I'll just delete these keyframes. The other method I'll be showing you will be using the compositing nodes. Now, you needn't really be afraid of these because this method it's really easy. You don't really need to be great at compositing to be able to do this. So, before we head over to compositor, we need to render our image. So go hit F12 or just click image. So you might want to skip ahead a bit to be spared some render times. Okay, so now that you've got your image rendered, hang on. Okay, cool. I was just making sure. Oh yeah, just a tip that could save you a lot of trouble and just hassle is before you render it, you have to make sure your object is selected in the depth of field focus. Otherwise, when you apply the nodes, nothing will happen. It'll just look stupid, and you'll be looking for the problem when it's actually really simple. You just you just make sure to do that because it could save you a lot of time. That's happened to me before where I forgot to set my object, and yeah, that was annoying. But anyway, so hit Control left arrow to go to your compositor, and you'll see here I've already got mine set up. But what you want to do is click Use Nodes and Backdrop. Now hit Shift A, go Output Viewer. I've already got one, and then just connect these up like so. So now we've got our nodes and our render in the background, so we can see what's going on. Now, these pesky little viewports tend to get in the way for me. I like to have a nice big workflow, so what I do is put my cursor in this viewport and hit Shift Space. And now we've got this, and you can just hit Shift Space again to get out of it. So, now we can see our nodes and our background, and it looks nice. Anyway, so this is the first method. Basically, I'll explain to you how it works first. We'll go in here first. So basically, if we go to the object data for the camera and we hit limits here, you see here that this little cross here is where the depth of field will begin. So see when I move the cube, that's where the depth of field will be happening. So basically the way it works is I can't explain. I don't have never mind. I'll use a circle to make my point. So let's say you've got the cube and that's the focus. Basically the way it works is the focus is like a radius basically. So let's say the f-stop value is at something like this. So basically everything outside of this circle, outside of this radius, will appear blurred. And the farther away it is from the edge of a circle, it'll appear more blurred. But we won't be using any circles or anything. I was just using that to explain. So yeah, that's basically the way this method works. So let's begin. Go Shift A, Filter, Defocus. and then just connect these up like this. So you'll see an immediate subtle change. Everything has become slightly blurred and it's out of focus really, but we don't want that. We want this to stay sharp while everything else to be out of focus. So we do this by connecting the Z input to the defocus Z input, like that. So now you'll see that looks bad. It looks really grainy. So to fix that, uncheck preview and select use Z buffer. So now we're back where we started. We don't really see anything. Well, to apply the depth of field, what you need to do is go to and change the f-stop values. So that's basically how you adjust your focus. So lower values mean more blur, and usually I like to use a value of like 15 or something. It depends how far your object is from the rest of the scene. So yeah, that looks really nice. You can see, I'll put it 20, just make it a bit more subtle. Here you can see the cube is in focus, while everything else behind it is nice and blurred. So that looks really nice. And yeah, it looks quite good. This method is also quite handy to animate stuff. When you're animating your scene, say you wanted this cube to be moving around, you can move it around and the focus will change with the cube. So that's a nice feature for this method as well. Yeah, one more thing I want to mention is the bokeh type. Basically what the bokeh is you know when you're taking images of real scenes and you have pretty reflective surfaces, like this monkey for example. I'll just zoom in a bit. It looks cruddier, but you can see here it's reflective here. But it's basically what the bokeh is. It's these little artifacts here, kind of like sparkles, kind of. I like to use the hexagonal ones the most. They just look the nicest, I reckon. So yeah, it's optional. Your personal preference really. You can do whatever you want with it, and the angle just changes its rotation, like you can see here. Yeah, but it doesn't really change much. It's a really subtle thing. You won't even notice it, really. But yeah, it's just one of those subtle things that makes the render look much nicer. So that is the first method. It's 2 methods covered. Now let's go to the last one. Now before we go into it, I'll explain why you'd use this. This method works quite well, although it has its disadvantages. Say for example, I'll put it at a really low f-stop value. It'll make it 10 times more blurred by hitting 2. So oh yeah, and the lower the value, the more time it takes to composite. Yeah, there we go. As you can see here, it looks really blurred. You can't even see it really. While the cube is also a bit blurred because the radius is so small. Now, as you can see here, I hope you can see in the screen recording, we've got an area that is sharp, while past this area here, it's blurred. In real life, the transition between these two areas would be nice and smooth, but here, it's just like a really sharp line, and it's really obvious and it doesn't look very good, and that can be a bit of a problem. This next method I'm going to show you is a bit, it fixes this problem, although it is a bit tricky to animate. You'll see why. Yes, so for this method, you don't actually need, I haven't actually used this method much, but I don't think you actually need an object in the focus of the object data of the camera. Yeah, so yeah, so we've got our image rendered, and we'll delete. I will keep this defocus node. Yeah. So actually, no, we'll just go from scratch. So just connect these up again. I'm sorry if I'm a little difficult to follow at times. This is just my second tutorial, so if you have any questions, just post them in the comments or whatever. But I'll do my best to explain everything. So go vector and map value. and connect the Z to the value input here, and can add a filter defocus again. So you want to connect the image to the image input here, and the Z to this Z here. So what you want to do here is, oops, we're going to be needing a lot of space in a minute. Yep, okay. So uncheck preview and don't check Z buffer this time. Turn the threshold down to 0 and change this to hexagonal just because I feel like it. So as I said before, this method is takes a bit more to composite, but it's probably the most accurate way of doing it. Oh yes, and increase the Z scale to something like 6. Yes. Now I might not explain what everything does here because it's a bit tricky to explain, and I don't even know what some of the stuff does myself. I just remember this method, but I'll explain it as best I can, really. So yes, so basically the way you change, basically what the offset does is it increases the blur values. So something like, we'll just stick with 1 actually. So the way you affect the where everything is sharp and where everything is blurred. So basically it's using this map value node. So you'll have the camera and you'll have the offset. You always have to make sure to use negative values, which means the values will be moving away from the camera. So something like -8. We'll try -8. Yeah, as you can see here, so the cube is nice and sharp, while everything else is a bit blurred. So you could just stick by using this, or if you want it to be even better looking, just to complete, because this is like a mask method basically. The place I learned this was from a website. I'll post a link in the description. It goes to much more detail and it'll explain a lot better than I do. So yes, we'll add the additional nodes. So duplicate this map value and connect the value down here to the Z, and now add a color ramp converter. So go Shift A, converter, color ramp, connect these like so. Then go Shift A, filter, dilate and erode, distance about we'll go 1, and then just connect this like this, and then go filter, where is it, blur, and then go Gaussian. And now we want higher values mean more blur, so we'll go something like 3 and then connect these like so. So now what you want to do is you want to add one more defocus node, so duplicate that one and then connect the image to the Z here and the image to the image here, and then just connect it up like this. So yeah, that's it's a decently sized node setup, but it's pretty simple. Well, not really, but yeah, you can see basically what it's done is it's kind of like masked out certain areas, so it gets rid of those jagged lines I explained before. So let's put a value of like let's go -3. Try that and make these the same. Yeah, as I said, it takes a bit longer to composite, but yeah. So yeah, you can see here, it's a bit blurrier here, but you don't see those jagged lines that we saw before where it looked really obvious and looked cruddy. So this really fixed that. So I'll add a viewer node here so you can see what this thing does. So if we click here, So basically what that did is, as you can see here, this is like the mask, really. So everything behind the white bits really is what's the blur. That's how it's happening. I can't really explain it. It's kind of difficult to explain. The website will explain it much better than I do, but yeah, this is a nice method. You could animate this as well by changing the offset values, and it's a bit tricky to animate it because it doesn't really focus on anything, so you just need to rely on the numbers. See, as you can see here, I changed that if you add a output viewer to the blur and you just mess with these, that's a nice way of seeing how well the defocus works. So yeah, it's a pretty nice way. Also, if you change the size, if you put it to lower values, it makes it a bit more in focus, as you can see. It was a pretty obvious change. So yeah. That's also a pretty cool way. So just mess with these values and you'll get some good results. But if I were you, I'd stick to the second method where I could. But if it's a pretty complex scene and you're animating a lot, then this would be a good way to go as well. Or even the cycles method would also work pretty well. But yeah, so that is looking pretty nice. Yeah, so I hope you learned something from this. Again, this is just my second tutorial, so I probably didn't explain things as well as I could. So if you have any questions, just post them down in the comments below and I'll do my best to help you. Or else just refer to a website I'll put in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.